OSTDs. That stands for other stuff I have to do. In this video, we're exploring what do you do with the stuff that isn't an MIT, but at some point I need to make it happen. We'll be talking about that. If you haven't joined us in all of the videos in this productivity series, I have linked those down below. But a quick recap. In the first video, we talked about what is productivity and how to define that by using the 80-20 analysis. In the second video, we talked about, discovering what we have to do, doing a brain dump. That's right, clearing your head with the brain dump. In the last video, we talked about defining your MITs, your most important tasks for the day. And in this video, that's right, we're talking OSTDs. Welcome to the channel, folks. My name is Herdman. Make sure that if you find some value here, you go down and like this video and subscribe to my channel. Today we're talking about OSTDs, other stuff to do. The 800-pound gorilla in the room when we get to this point in a seminar or webinar is this. What do I do with the other stuff that I have to do? I have my 2 MITs completed or scheduled to be completed as far as deep work, focused work. It's on my schedule. I'm going to get it done. But I got a couple odds and ends that, I do need to make them happen. I do need to handle them. All right, that's what an OSTD is. It's not a high priority like an MIT, like I have to have this done or else. An OSTD are the 3 to 5. So that's the number that some of you are looking for. How many OSTDs can I have? I recommend more toward the 3 side than the 5 side, but I also default and defer to you to know your schedule and your productivity habits. I tend to pull it to the 3 side. 3 things that I need to make happen somewhere, somehow, during the day. Let me give you a couple examples here of what I'm talking about. First of all, it might be a phone call that you need to make. Maybe the doctor, maybe you visited the doctor and you had some labs done and the doctor changed a few things or told you to do a few things differently and said, follow up with me in the next 2 to 3 months. Well, it's getting about that time to be 2 or 3 months, and you need to call the doc and schedule up an appointment. You can see that this needs to be done. If it doesn't get done today, am I going to fall apart? Am I going to come unglued? Is the world going to stop? No, but I need to make that appointment, and that's it. It's just call the doctor, speak with the receptionist, schedule the appointment, and I'm done. It might even be an email. Maybe you need to email someone about 2 questions. You have 2 questions before you start a project in 2 weeks. So you got 2 weeks until you start this project, but you got a couple pressing questions that need to be answered sometime over the next couple weeks. Today, absolutely not. If I don't get it answered today, I'm going to be okay. Even tomorrow, it's going to be okay. But I at least want to put that out there and get that in front of them, and then I can track the follow-up if I need to. But I at least need to put those 2 questions out there and say, hey, just wanted to get these in front of you. You got a couple weeks before we officially kick this off. If you could give me a couple examples or answers to these questions, I'd appreciate it. The other thing an OSTD could be, other stuff to do, could be an errand, like pick up dry cleaning. Are you absolutely going to, not make it through the day if you don't pick up your dry cleaning today? No. But should you pick it up in the next couple days? Do I want to forget about it? Yeah, I should probably pick it up in the next couple days, and I don't want to forget about it. But again, picking up dry cleaning, I just need to make it happen. It doesn't need to happen at a specific day, date, or time. It just needs to be done. And so I need to get that on my radar, in front of me, keep it in front of me so I can make those other things I have to do happen. Now, a couple things to notice about OSTDs. It's not enough just to say other stuff to do. It's not enough to say it's a call, it's an email, it's an errand, it's that sort of thing. A couple things to have as far as guidelines for an OSTD item. One, they are single serving to-dos, meaning you do it and it's done. I call the doctor and I get the appointment scheduled, I'm done. Next thing to do is obviously put that on my calendar, but just show up at the doctor's appointment. That could be a month from now, 2 months from now. If you're really proactive and the doctor said call you in 2 to 3 months, and it's 3 months out, well, then I just show up in 3 months. If it's an email, I send the email out. I generate the email with those 2 questions about the project that we're going to start in a couple weeks, and I just put that out there. I don't have to send it to 5 people, or if I do, I just I go ahead and include those people in the initial email, but I push that email out there, and then I just set a waiting for, or I track that somewhere to follow up or get those answers before we start the project in the next couple weeks. Pick up dry cleaning, one and done, right? Go to the dry cleaner, walk in, pick up the dry cleaning, pay for it, walk out, done. So it's a single serving to do, meaning I do it and it's done. The other thing to kind of give you some guidance on what is an OSTD, they are not date or time sensitive. They are not tied to a specific day or date or a specific day, date, and time. Meaning you don't have to do an OSTD Tuesday at 11 o'clock. That's an appointment. That's a scheduled item. That's a much stronger commitment than we're talking about here with an OSTD. If someone says you need to meet me at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, I immediately go to my schedule and schedule that up and confirm that with them. That's not something I kind of keep on a list or decide to get around to them when I can and realize that, oh, I'm replying to them Thursday at 4 o'clock. They asked for a meeting Tuesday at 2 o'clock. It's not that. There's no date, time, or day, date, and time sensitivity attached to an OSTD. The third thing, and probably the most important thing to realize about an OSTD, if it doesn't get done, the sun will still come up tomorrow. That's right, there still will be a sunrise tomorrow. So that kind of tells you what we're talking about here in terms of structuring and thinking about the priorities and the do or die mentality, if you will, of MITs compared to OSTDs. So again, MITs get done no matter what. OSTDs, I'll take a shot. I'll make sure that I try to get it done, but if it doesn't get done today, I'll do it tomorrow. And I'm not saying that I want to encourage that, but I make the commitment for 2 or 3 OSTDs, and more than likely, again, as you can see, they're very transactional, they're very single serving, as I said. Call the doctor, less than 5 minutes. Send an email, less than a minute or 2. Pick up dry cleaning, well, depending on the drive time and traffic and of that sort of thing, and if you have to wait, that could easily be done in 10, 15, 20 minutes, and I'm done. I'm crossing those things off, and we're good to go. Some frequently asked questions about OSTDs, and I have 4 of them for you to conclude our discussion on OSTDs. Question number 1, should OSTDs get scheduled? Should I schedule the other things that I commit to doing today, or at least I'm kind of keeping them in front of me, hoping to get them done today? No and yes. First of all, the thing that gets scheduled first and foremost are your MITs. So if you don't have your MIT scheduled, you definitely don't want to put an OSTD on your schedule. MITs need to get the prime real estate on your schedule and on your calendar. Now, if you want to remember them, keep them top of mind, there's some things that you can do with those. I mean, some people just put it on a whiteboard in front of them, a post-it note. Some people put it on their daily focus sheet. I'll talk more about that in another FAQ coming up in just a few minutes. But I would leave that up to you. Most of the time, my seminar participants, myself, the people I've coached and worked with over the decades, will not put an OSTD on the schedule because, well, first of all, the harsh reality of it is it's hard enough to get the MITs on there because of all the meetings and other commitments that we have on our schedule. So to make that a mandatory, you got to put your OSTDs on the schedule or else you're a huge catastrophic failure. I don't want that for you at all. FAQ number 2, should I keep a running to-do list or master to-do list of OSTDs? Yes, you should, but it has to be managed proactively, possibly even multiple times a day, because this list could get very overwhelming. This could turn into some sort of master to-do list, which if you know anything about any of my talks or any of my methodology, mindset, mentality, is the last thing I want you to have is a master to-do list. They're overwhelming, they're frustrating, they're demotivating, they lower your morale, they just are a hot mess of awful. So I have a list of OSTDs that I think of it like a tree. You planted the tree. You've got these things you've got to do, right? That's like planting the tree, and then you have to take care of the tree, right? You have to water it. You have to make sure that it's taken care of, and once it starts to grow and develop, you have to prune it. The maintenance of an OSTD list is like pruning a tree. Periodically, you got to go out there and take care of that thing. Now, I tend to look at mine every day to make sure that I am not forgetting anything and that sort of thing. And occasionally, sometimes an OSTD does get elevated to an MIT. So I check in on that as part of my morning routine and setup for the day, also part of my closeout routine. And again, if you know about those, and I'll include those in this productivity series coming up in a couple videos, but my morning check-in and setup is less than 7 minutes, and my closeout routine for the day is less than 10 minutes. So it's not a big time investment to know what's going on in that other stuff to-do list. But if you don't get in there at least once a day and kind of take a look at what's going on, it's just going to keep getting out of control, just like that tree that doesn't get any nurturing or pruning. It's just going to start growing all wild and possibly, as we know with some of the trees, if they're not pruned and taken care of, they won't produce the fruit or whatever they should be doing. Same thing here. You will miss things that, well, again, they're just other stuff to do somewhere along the way. But again, we'll go back to reference the call the doctor and follow up within 2 to 3 months. You could, if you don't check that list and stay familiar with what's on there, you could miss that window of 2 to 3 months and be like, oh no, it's been 6 months and I haven't followed up with the doc. Third FAQ, can I stack or batch my other stuff to do? Yes. Let me explain batching first of all. Batching is when I take like items and put them together, and I could even make a commitment on my schedule for that. Let me give you an example. Let's say I have to make 6 calls. I have to make 6 calls, and they're just kind of collecting on my OSTD list. Maybe I notice that across a week I'm accumulating, like, okay, I start off a couple calls on Monday and Tuesday, and by Wednesday and Thursday I realize I got 4 or 5 calls I need to make. Maybe on Thursday afternoon or Friday morning, I will just put a half an hour block on my calendar called OSTD calls. And there are all these calls that I just need to make. They're quick, like make a doctor's appointment, schedule the car to go in for being serviced. I need to have my kids' braces tightened. So, I just got to call and set that up. It's those type of things, but it's boom, 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 call, 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 call. They are not discussions. So again, they're very transactional, very single serving. Make an appointment, scheduled, done. Get the car scheduled, done. Get the kids scheduled up to go in and get the braces adjusted, done. It's that type of thing, but it's a block where all I'm going to do is shut everything else down and just make calls and just make calls and just make calls. Could be a block of emails. Maybe I have noticed the same thing, that over a course of a couple of days, I've got 4 or 5 emails that I need to initiate. They're not mission critical. The sky is not going to fall. The world is not going to end if they don't go out today. But again, maybe toward the end of the week, you see a block and you say, all right, 30 minutes here for OSTDs, emails. And all I do is initiate emails. It could be an ask where I'm asking somebody a question. It could be where I'm pushing information out to my team or folks around me. But again, it's just real quick. Open up the email, put the names in, message, send, done. Next. So I am a big fan of batching. And that might be, as I mentioned a little bit ago, that might be a use case where you do want to schedule or commit a block of time to getting those OSTDs done. But notice they're all context driven, meaning they're all calls, they're all emails, just like we do with errands, right? We say, all right, so I'm going to go here to the grocery store, then I'm going to go over here to Costco, then I'm going to pick up the dry cleaning, and the dry cleaner is right by the pharmacy. It's the same thing. We're batching. We're batching errands by location, and we're doing nothing but errands. We're not stopping to have coffee with someone. We're not going to the place that we just see along the way, or random things. We're on a purpose. So again, yes, I think we can batch and we can schedule those, but again, keep them in context so you can stay in the flow. All the calls completed, all the emails completed, errands together, filing. Even sometimes, people will think about even going into specific stores to batch things together, like an office supply store. I go into an office supply store. Here's the office supplies I need for the whole month. I'm just going to grab them while I'm in there. The final FAQ that I have for you to wrap up this discussion today on OSTDs, other stuff to do, is where do I place my OSTDs so that they can stay top of mind? Well, as we just mentioned, you can batch and, of course, put those on your schedule. I think also, I mentioned a moment ago, the daily focus sheet. At the beginning of every day, I do a brain dump. And then what I do is I take my MITs and I put those on my daily focus sheet as well as on my schedule. Not a big deal. It's just that my daily focus sheet is always in front of me. It's always sitting kind of to the left of me at my desk, and I can always see it. And of course, I'm checking in on the schedule periodically. I'm getting reminders when it's appropriate for meetings and things I have to attend or else. And my MITs are also showing up that way. So they might be on the calendar and on my daily focus sheet. A lot of times on my daily focus sheet, if there's anything that I need to understand to initiate or complete an MIT, I have notes about that as well. And so below that, MITs at the top, below the MITs, there's a category called OSTD, and I leave 2 or 3 spots on the sheet to write those down. And again, if I need any other notes or anything to make a call the doctor. What's that about? Right here it says, oh, follow-up 2 to 3 months after last visit. So I know exactly what to say when I call so I can get in and out very quickly with those calls. If it's an email, I need to ask these 2 questions, and email this to Jim. We got 2 weeks before the project starts, so I need to get this in front of Jim at that point. Some people just do what I call the quick and dirty. Put a Post-it note on your monitor. You don't have any other Post-it notes on there except OSTDs, so it works. Or maybe you have a whiteboard and you can kind of isolate out, kind of silo out a little space on that whiteboard with all the other things on there that you kind of call OSTDs. Maybe you put them in a bright color or different color than everything else so they kind of jump out. And the other place that people will put OSTDs is once you decide that these are the OSTDs for today, you can put them in some sort of reminders app where it's actually set to remind you at a specific time. And I would not sweat over this as far as, well, I thought it wasn't supposed to be date sensitive and time sensitive and that sort of thing. It's not. But if you want to put some in there and have it remind you about this one, let's say 11 o'clock, and another one at 3 o'clock, so that at least you've got some time before the end of the day to just be reminded of them. For example, one pops up at 11 o'clock. You might go, okay, let me write that down, put that right on my screen here. That way in the next hour, I'll do that. The reminder apps are good. A lot of times people think reminders apps and having notifications and that sort of thing is bad or not the right way to do it. I should be able to remember that. No, I think offloading those things into reminders apps and things that can get a bit intrusive so that we don't forget them, I think that's appropriate. Having everything pop up, having everything a reminder, having everything be a notification, I'm against that, as you know, but having a couple of little prompts, little cues, little hello, how about now, those sort of things do help. And so again, dropping a couple OSTDs for the day in a reminders app with again, some spacing so that they're not overwhelming you, but yet you have a reminder, I think that's useful. So think about your MITs, getting those on the schedule. What's left over? What do I do with the other stuff I have to do? Well, now you know. Pick 3 to 5 OSTDs that need to be done, that you might want to get done. But if they don't, the world will not end. Folks, make sure you take care of yourself so you can take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next video.